KEF Connect. Conversations that matter. Tune in every week for interviews with industry trendsetters and community changemakers that will instill inspiration and ignite action. Visit www.kefholdings.com and click KEF Connect to listen.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi again.
Nice. Happy New Year.
Hi Faizal, Shabana, Sophiya.
Hi, Anas.
How was the New Year's Eve? Let's start with something recent.
Was a lot of fun, very hectic. I'm still exhausted because we had so many guests at home.
Yeah.
So it was a good New Year's Eve, I think, with
Yeah.
family and.
Was it? Do you think was it different for you this year compared to any other year?
Not really, because we don't really party too much. We always are with people who we love and we are comfortable with. So it was similar this year too. That way, yeah.
Okay.
But this year we did something different. We went to the desert in Ras Al Khaimah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was that?
Fantastic. I think we were around 30 people in the family.
Yeah.
So we explored the Ras Al Khaimah desert, also falconry, and it's a new experience for everybody. So it's amazing, the desert in the morning, the sunrise. We had morning trekking.
Yeah, on the last day of the year, we said, let's go on a morning desert walk. And we just all walked for an hour to just kind of
We watched
end
the
the year
sunrise.
by watching the last sunrise.
Yeah.
So
It's
was really
interesting.
nice.
All the sheikhs also, they did these tours across the UAE.
Yeah.
Sheikh Mohammed,
Yes.
Mohammed bin Zayed, they're exploring, and even because I think a lot of borders are closed and lockdowns around the
Yeah.
world, people are curious about their own land and their own. There's so much, I guess, to see in the UAE.
Yes.
Incredible.
There is actually,
Incredible.
yes.
We've been here for 28 years, and the first time we explored the desert for 3 days.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's nice.
loved it.
How was last season for KEF Connect? I know it was a new venture, something extremely different for all of you. I feel there's so much influence from her on all of you, but how was it exploring this digital world and talking and sharing experiences and knowledge, and also getting to know a lot of different people here in the UAE?
First of all, I think after the first episode, we become more confident now.
I'm sure.
No, I think it received very well. I think, we had some 8,000 people looked at the podcast, and I think the whole series of community heroes, which was the starting point, is our podcast, did very well. Because we had 3 heroes we selected for the work what they have done, during this pandemic. Yeah,
4 heroes.
We had
4
an extra
heroes.
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the most interesting one was the Emirati marshals. And I think you know them. They know you. And they were in our office, so we invite them there and ask more about their work, and it's incredible. They had some 4,000 members, doing extremely good work. Started with sports, then moved into community services, and especially during the pandemic. So it was really an eye-opener, in different walks of life. People are, how much they have done to help each other, and that's what is shown in this 2020. People came together, for solving problems.
I find it interesting, Faisal, that you all as a family, sometimes people will address that in the UAE and probably in every country, different nationalities become silos. So the English expats will be with the English expats, or Europeans, Americans, Indians, Filipino, Emirati. And it is true because sometimes it's the common language, the common sense of humor, culture, etc. But especially by watching KEF Connect, you're literally connecting these silos. Like you are putting a bridge on purpose, and you're saying, you know what? I want to also share knowledge because we're all in the same place, same country. And I find it very nice that you put that extra effort. You don't have to. Like a lot of people decide to be like, I'm comfortable in my circles. I don't need to venture and go to the next circle. But you guys do that. Why do you think it is something that you've been proactive about?
So I think it's been the DNA of the family, correct? So we always say we are world citizens, even though we are born in India. See, I left India at the age of 21, and I lived a major part of my life outside India, and that is where we learn about other cultures, and suddenly we realize we are one. There is no big difference between a European or an Indian or an American or an Emirati. End of the day, the underlying thing is we are human beings, and we all have the common purpose in our life, correct? So I think that's been my DNA passed on to the family. Shabana also believed in the same ethos, and after we got married, and that's what we connect with everyone. We have friends all across the world, and we enjoy that, and that's why we decided to live in a country like that.
Correct.
Yeah, and this is a melting pot of the world.
It is.
Yeah, it is.
Shabana, 2020 in one word.
I was just thinking about that, and I think it was submission.
Submission.
Yeah. Because nothing was in your control, right? You just had to take a day as it comes. Every day you're hearing bad news, you're hearing so many people dying. And in the end of the day, you can't really plan. You can't, and you did, in the beginning you didn't even know what is it. Corona, how is it react, how, what, when, where, why. So it was just like, and my worst fear also came true this year, because one of the things I was really afraid of was my parents getting the virus, getting sick. And my father actually passed away because of that. So it was like you couldn't control anything, even though we were so careful. Everything is in the hands of God or the higher power, whatever you call it, So you had to submit to that and just let it be. There's nothing in your control, but yet you can actually look forward to another day, being optimistic about things. So that's what 2020 taught me.
Sophiya, what's the word that pops in your mind?
I think for me it was, the first thing that comes to my mind is standstill.
Standstill.
Everything just
paused.
I don't think in a necessarily only bad way. I think everyone needed it. I really needed it because it forced me to introspect a lot and focus on my health, not physical health, but also more importantly, mental health. I think this year really, really taught me the importance of looking at yourself and taking care of yourself.
Did you do that?
Yeah, a lot. It was ups and downs. This year was so weird that, I struggled quite a bit, but at the same time, you also learn to be strong with it and learn to, my mom said, you submit to it and take it one day at a time. And yeah, me and my sister started our own wellness page because of it.
I know, yeah.
So, we all really focused on that, I think. Yeah.
Faizal?
For me, what I learned in 2020 was the power of human resilience.
But we'll start with what word comes to mind when you think of 2020?
Resilience.
Resilience, okay.
Yes, and how everybody, faced it and fought this event. I remember January when I was coming out of the office, we have TVs near the door. I was watching, suddenly I saw this coronavirus coming out of China. And I asked my CIO, Prashant, what do you think? Is it going to be a bad news? Because we are in the investment business. And we have investment across the world. He said, no, sir, nothing to worry. Maximum 20,000 people will die. That's the worst, correct? Yeah. So it's not going to change anything, But, come February, increasing. 20 become, I think that time, 100,000. Then it's exponential increase in March, and March 24th was the biggest fear in my life. The whole market crashed. And that's where I really, stood still and said, wow, this is the end of the world. But from there onwards, we came out of it. Correct? Everybody, we fought it. We had huge losses in those few months. But we said, let's stay calm, we need to work together, come together. And I think, and that's what across the world, and that's what people have done, So human resilience is incredible in these difficult times. And 2020 has taught all of us that. Yeah. We have the power to overcome these kind of situations.
Yeah, it's very true. I think human beings have this capability to survive.
Yeah.
Even when you think you can't.
Yeah.
Because we're also emotional beings, so we get drifted in fear. Especially fear is a very overwhelming emotion that human beings feel. So when you get it, you can get frantic unless you're a very calm CEO or boss of the house or whatnot. You know how to maintain composure and make good decisions. But most people will get frantic, and then day by day, you're like, okay, we're figuring this out. And I was thinking, how important it was, the internet.
Yeah.
The internet's role in the fight against COVID. Imagine we didn't have all of these connections between countries and sharing of knowledge or how to tackle such a new virus.
Yeah.
And you look at pandemics that have happened in tens and hundreds of years ago, you will be surprised at how much longer it lasts and how much more deaths and fatalities and all of that. But I think the internet played a huge role.
Absolutely.
It's interesting that with the KEF Connect now, I'm happy that's the season 2. Because look, if it was only one season, I would have thought, okay, they wanted to try something. They tried, they experienced it, and they made a decision whether they're passionate about it or interested in it or not. But when you see somebody go on to season 2, you're like, okay, they like it. They're doing it for the right reasons. Yeah. So I know that this season, or season 2 opener, is an introduction to homegrown SMEs, which is something I'm personally very passionate about also, because all of my businesses were started here as SMEs. Why did you decide to choose? Maybe it was Sophiya's idea or your idea or Shabana's idea, but why is it important that this season you focus on homegrown SMEs?
So when we were trying to figure out what we want for season 2, we want to talk about, the values that make us who we are as KEF, and try to help people, follow their own passions and their paths. And the first thing that came to mind was we started from scratch in this region. And because of COVID, so many businesses, so many people have suffered. But there are businesses that also grew out of this. And for example, Soph, which is what me and my sister are doing, the same example was there must be so many other people who have started their own businesses. And it would be beautiful to know their story and understand it and see how they're doing or how they started, and just learn from them as well. So that's why I think the topic came up, and then I discussed it with my mom, and then finally we went to him, and he said, okay, sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. Well, what do you think, Faizal?
Yeah, I think also as you clearly mentioned, internet was one big common thread in this pandemic, correct? It connected people to solve how to handle coronavirus, correct? And also at the same time, people lost jobs, and internet also provided more opportunities, correct? I mean, you see a lot of women who lost jobs in restaurants and coffee shops, started their own small businesses at home, making cakes and biscuits and so many products, and they're able to sustain in these difficult times through their own businesses. And I think there are a lot of opportunities came out of this crisis. And that is where I think the opportunity for SMEs are going to be in 2021 and henceforth. Correct. I mean, the whole business ecosystem is going to change. It's changed, in my opinion. Correct. It's opened up a big Pandora box of building the confidence, saying that I can do something on my own using my creative skills. Correct. I mean, everybody had skills. Yeah. But today with the technology, I mean, you can connect with anyone in the world. Correct. And I think the next 10 years is going to be that. You will see many people becoming own entrepreneurs, and technology is going to enable for all of them to be successful. So I thought it is a great platform for hear from people, and that's why this KEF Connect series 2 is all about SMEs, in this part of the world.
Yeah, I think even the idea of video calls. I mean, we used to have meetings, so many meetings per day, and just the internet told us that some meetings you really don't need to be in person. You can just have it on a video call, and I think you're right when it comes to the whole dynamic of a work environment. Do you need so many offices, or maybe some departments needs offices and some departments can work from home? And do the employees have to work 7 or 6 or 5 days from the office, or 3 and 2 at home? Correct. Because they can be really focused. Correct. And all of these new things that we were never maybe accepting or exploring are coming to the forefront. The tricky thing, though, and I'm sure Shabana and Faizal specifically, you know this very well, is to be an entrepreneur is complex, because it's not only you going to a certain job and doing a certain function and leaving. It is you looking at people and building a team and HR and procurement and accounting and auditing, and it's a lot. And I think that's where it's, Sophiya, now you're also venturing in all of this.
No, but I witnessed it.
You see it.
Yeah.
So the sexy part, or the very appealing part, is saying, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm on my own boss. But it's not for everyone. No. That's something I really started to learn. And I don't think it's wrong to say I'm not an entrepreneur. My father loved corporate. My brother Maad loves corporate. He likes to go, structure is there, everything is there. He does his job very well, leaves. And some people are wired to be like, no, I want to do it my way. Okay. So I think that's such an important discussion that hopefully in this season also you can have and understand with...
what is the DNA, what people like. And I think there are two things. I think nobody is born as an entrepreneur, in my opinion. Correct? The circumstances also play a big role, in bringing your creativity out and become an entrepreneur. So I think all this fear of reaching to the consumers, was a tough challenge in the early days. And that is broken now. Today, the old conventional style of marketing is changed. Correct? So I think percentage of the entrepreneurs coming into the market will be lot higher than the previous decades, is my view. But I agree with you, not everyone can become an entrepreneur. There are so many complexities in running a business. And you need to also ask yourself, am I fit for this? And that's the first thing everyone should ask. Am I fit to take these challenges? If you have the self-confidence, yes, you should attempt it. And today, failure is no more a big taboo now.
Yeah.
People accept it.
Yeah, it's such a subjective word. What is failure? And I like to say that failure is when you actually give up. Yeah. But if somebody says, like if a baby starts to stand and falls, will you call him a failure? No, because he keeps standing. He keeps trying. You can never say that baby is a failure. Yeah. It's very harsh, and he's still trying. Yeah. It's not like he's like, oh, I fell 3 times, I'm going to stop. So for me, a person who keeps trying can never be called a failure. A person who says, I'm too lazy. I don't want to do this anymore. Correct. Okay, then you failed at that. Yeah. You mentioned the word resilience. And I feel there's a huge connection between, if you want to be resilient, you need to do something you really enjoy, like season 2 now. So if you didn't enjoy it in season 1, you'll be like, okay, Anas, I tried. I just didn't like this cuisine, or I didn't like this experience, I didn't like this business, but I tried. So I respect people. I like triers, if that's even a word. But resilience is very much connected to doing something you're passionate about. If you're not, you get corona and the business is down, you're like, should I bother? I'm not making money. And then the moment you don't make money, you don't want to do it anymore. But if you actually like to do it, you stay. Yep. So I think that's also an important thing, right? In homegrown businesses. Are they doing something they love, or what their next door neighbor is doing because she's making money?
Correct. Yep.
So I think that's a huge education. Do you think, Shabana, Sophiya and Faizal, do you think you're immersed in things that you love doing in your life today?
To some extent, yeah. See, when we're talking about why you were asking the question, why did you use local homegrown SMEs? To some extent, KEF is a homegrown story, right? And we wanted to share that experience with people who are actually willing to take the, our values and what lessons we have learned. We want to share it with people. And also we want to hear interesting stories from other people. What is the reason they're doing it? Because this Corona has actually made us question a lot of things, right? About our education system, about how we work, about why do we need an office, and like you were mentioning. So the businesses which are starting now are pretty new. Most people don't have something to compare themselves to, or, so it's a new way of doing things now. And they have to take that step and take the risk. And as KEF, we wanted to hear the stories and get motivated ourselves, but also motivate the young people who are doing it, or the old people. It doesn't matter which age you start a business, right? So, yeah, and like you said, failure. I started 2 businesses which actually failed, and I don't have a problem saying that because I have learned so much.
Absolutely.
Doing that.
You learn more from the failures.
Yes. So I don't think it's really bad to fail, because as long as you're learning from that experience, I think it's okay. In the end, an entrepreneur is somebody who can take risk, and I'm not a person who takes risk with money. I can take risk in other areas, but not with money. So I've realized I'm not an entrepreneur.
I don't know if entrepreneur can be just defined by that. I heard a nice expression that entrepreneur is a problem solver.
Yeah. That
So
I think
you look at something that can be better,
Yeah.
or is a gap, and you're like, oh, maybe we should do that. Even a podcast like this is a gap, and you're
Yeah.
like, maybe we need to connect people.
Yes.
Let's connect these different bubbles and help each other. It's an entrepreneur mindset, I think.
And if you solve a problem, there is a reward, correct? You will end up making money,
Sah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I think entrepreneurs should look for. Are there any gaps? And there are gaps everywhere, correct? But identifying the gap is a critical thing, and that is where we call it, you're a visionary.
Yes.
How did you find that gap?
Your first business was a big gap.
Absolutely.
I remember you saying that everybody was saying, why don't you just import from Europe or whatever? Why are you trying to do it here?
Absolutely. So you need to have this, always ask these questions when you see something. And my question was that, UAE in GCC is importing $5 billion worth of valves. How come nobody's manufacturing it? Such a big market. Oh, it's difficult. Everything is difficult in life, correct? So I think there are so much of opportunity in this part of the world. I think we are sitting in a gold mine, especially in UAE, correct? Because the whole world is around us.
Yeah.
And that is where we think there's an opportunity for many businesses here, and we need to trigger that, correct? And as Shabana clearly said, we are a homegrown story 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And multiple businesses and been successful because of many, many reasons. So, yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting to hear from the...
How would you, Faizal, this is an interesting point, I think, that a lot of us as entrepreneurs want to understand. When you approach a business, do you think, okay, I'm really good at this part of the business, so let me focus on that, but here I don't like this part, whether it's procurement or finance, and I need to get somebody who's better than me. Do you have that attitude in all of your businesses?
Absolutely. You need to be surrounded with the best of the brains, correct? And if an entrepreneur can accept your weak side and bring in the best talent to support you for that, you will definitely be successful. So I'm always surrounded with better people, better brains than mine.
Yeah, actually, he always says that. He says, you should never be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Always surround yourself with people who are smarter, but you should be able to bring those people together to solve a problem. So, yeah.
It's like a captain of a sports team.
Yes.
They're not usually the best player,
Yeah.
but they're really good at putting everybody together. Like they'll motivate, they'll encourage, they will calm down a fight. And you need that person, the alpha or the leader. But it doesn't mean he's the most skilled or she's the most skilled.
Absolutely.
And I think ego is so important to control.
Yes.
Because entrepreneurs, we all have an ego. All human beings have an ego. But is the ego that I'm not going to hire anybody smarter than me because I will be insecure? Then good luck.
Yeah.
Or no, I know where I'm good, where I'm bad. I can't be, like you said, I can't be the smartest person in the room. Yes. No way. Then what am I doing?
Correct.
Interesting.
And then that's what, I was reading yesterday's newspaper, day before, I think. Sign Sheikh Mohammed, 15 years being, in the Prime Minister's role. I mean, what an incredible leader, correct? I mean, and you see that leader empowering people across, correct? I mean, his influence are there in everywhere, correct? I mean, he never said, "Oh, I'm the greatest leader." Other people told that he is the greatest leader, correct? And that's how the leader should be, in my opinion. You know, our work should speak. We have to bring people together. We should have a purpose in life, you know, and we should care for the society, you know, and I think that will bring in so many opportunities as well. So for me, yeah, I mean, this country has been a great motivation, correct? This because of the great leaders, you know, and that's what we need to develop across the board.
I think what you just mentioned can apply to so many things in life. When a leader thinks more than about themselves, but more about the people. When a CEO does the same. Yes. When you start a business, not because you want glory and money. Okay, you want all of these things. It's nice to get attention. It's nice to get money. But when your purpose is bigger than you,
yes.
For example, your school initiative in India, it's bigger than you.
Absolutely.
It's beyond, it's changing lives. It has a way bigger meaning than one individual and one spotlight and one attention. And I think if you apply that in life, for example, you create, a more comfortable, lightweight jeans. Yep. Jeans, maybe because people are mostly uncomfortable in jeans after a few hours. You're like, I want people to be in a jeans for 10 hours.
Correct.
You just thought of something that's bigger than you.
In fact, I asked this to my tailor last month. Oh, I mean, so can you make comfortable jeans for me? I love wearing jeans, you know. That, no? He said, no. That's a different way of cutting itself. You know? So still, I'm yet to figure out the jeans which is comfortable.
Oh no, Anas, I think you gave him a new business idea.
Yeah, maybe.
The people are listening will start.
I remember, Shabana, also when you were talking about the labor camps, not the camps, the workplace, and then the community center. Yeah. And you were talking about how the community center was there to train and encourage and make them more competent, more skillful in things maybe not even at work, whether it's language or health or whatever, or working out. So you see, it comes back to this point, when you think bigger than you. And I think that's where people become loyal to you. That's why you have a sustainable job and a sustainable business, etc.
Incredible, because, you know, I mean, I'm having last 2 days workshop for my doctors here. You know, our hospital is in India, but I bring all of them here for the workshop because this place creates that environment, you know, to think out of the box. Yeah. And last 2 days, major discussion is that, you know, how do you bring people together? How do you break the egos of the doctors? You know, what we should do. You know, and we are thinking and discussing deeply, what are the mechanisms to do that? So I told my team, you know, forget about doing any training programs in the hospital. Correct? Because the environment itself is all about negative energy, you know, sicknesses, deaths, egos, and you're surrounded with all this negative energy. You need to come out of that energy field to somewhere where there is positive energy, you know, a sport, you know, play cricket, football together, dance together. So we have a program now in the community center in Maitra where the CEOs and the doctors and the non-doctors have dance classes, you know, and people laughed at me, you know, and we have a dance teacher permanent in the center. He said, why are we asking us to dance? I said, liberate yourself, liberate your mind, you know, and you start communicating to each other. So it's working really well. We are changing the way healthcare is going to be delivered, you know, and the first ecosystem we are developing in a place called Kasargod. It's opening on February 7th by the UAE ambassador to India. You know, we are all going there, and I'm so excited about that. Correct? And that something has come up in this pandemic time. You know, health. You know, how do we provide good health to the people?
Yeah. You know, Sophiya, you mentioned also the point that your father just mentioned, the mental and the health side of things, and you said that for you personally, it made you stop. 2020 made you think, okay, there's things beyond, and how can I take care of my own self? And it's just a huge thing that it's like an elephant in the room, but not really, but it is an elephant in the room, that we knew what mental health was, but we never gave it maybe enough attention or seriousness. I think seriousness we didn't. And now suddenly everybody's coming out of this period. We don't know the repercussions on people who lost businesses or who lost jobs, like the post-trauma. Did they get depressed? Did they get let down? Did they lose all their stocks? And they never recovered? You know, some people don't have the luxury or the cushion to recover, or they'll have to be forced to start from zero or whatnot. And that would be really interesting, I think, in the next phase. What are the consequences of 2020 on the people who really had a tough one? Yeah.
I feel like at the fundamental level, a lot of people, they don't even get heard, their voices. Everyone's pre-pandemic, everyone is just going through, you know, this track that's already set, and you're just going by your day-to-day life, just following that. But because of the pandemic, you're questioning a lot of things. At least I did as well. I'll give you, it's a little personal, but I'll give you an example. For pre-pandemic, I mean, I'm part of the family business, and that was my track. You know, I'm going to give it all I can. But then as the pandemic came, I'm like, okay, is this what I really want? Do I want to do something else? I questioned all of it, and it was very open. I mean, we, as a family, I think that's one of the best qualities we have, is we are very free with each other to discuss if we have any doubts or hesitations or sadnesses. And I realized that I love what my family business does. I want to give back as much as I can. At the same time, it's very important that I have my own individuality. And coming to that conclusion was very hard, because it's also very difficult to have that conversation with your parents saying, listen, I love this, but I also want to do my own thing. And I feel like for a lot of people, having those thoughts and not being able to voice them to their loved ones or to their friends, it was very difficult. For me, that's what I felt was very important. I feel like people need to be heard. Just that would make a huge difference in a lot of people's lives.
I think even talking on podcasts just like this makes a lot of people feel they're not alone in their struggles.
Yeah.
You know, you always feel better knowing that somebody faced something that is as challenging, and you're like, okay, they get me. Yeah. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
To summarize and to really, actually, not some, I want to summarize and kick off such an interesting season that I'm curious about. Faizal, what would you, if somebody just started listening and they started at this, and you know they went through a challenging time, whether themselves or a family member, and they were considering starting something or a homegrown business or just an idea, what is your advice?
My advice will be, you should let them do what they love to do. As you said, many people have different passions, and they're afraid to even tell their passions to their family members. And I think as leaders, we should encourage people to follow their passion instead of holding them back. And that'll be my advice to all the parents. Let them be, let them fail, and they can always come back.
Absolutely.
To you.
I think that's very powerful.
Yeah.
Shabana.
I think people should follow their passion, like you said. Don't just do because somebody else is doing. Don't just follow the pack, but do something which you really enjoy. And also, these are difficult times, so you have to be aware of that. It's not like you start something big or try it out, something smaller, because the corona is still there. It's not that 2021 has come and it's gone.
Correct. Yeah.
It's still there, so you don't know. London is in lockdown.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful, take tiny steps, and then, have a goal, and you have to reach that goal with the tiny steps.
Mm-hmm. Sophiya, you looking forward to this season?
Yeah, very much.
Very good.
Yeah, very excited.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
This
Anas.
was sweet, and it's nice to see you all again.
Thank you very
Nice
much.
to see you.
We wish.
Looking forward.
Yeah, we wish all of us, each other, I guess, a calmer, more stable, less submission.
Yes.
Year, I guess. Yeah, tell me.
I think 2020 has taught us how to deal with 2021, right?
That's a
learned
good
that
point.
lesson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.